The last video ended on a cliffhanger, with me going to the nether, but as the liar I am, we are finishing the house first. Which was followed by some monotonous and tedious inventory sorting because I have more items than your local trailer park hoarder. The house is really starting to shape up at this point, but I'm not entirely sure why it was my prerogative to spend so much time on it, as I'm not planning on this series lasting super long, which you'll see why at the end of the video. Anyways, I turned in some quests, started to get into a mod where I had no clue what I was doing, and realized I essentially wasted the first 2 of 10 days. So with that being said, I'm going to unblue your balls and go to the nether. I killed some ghast, which I entirely did on the first try, wink wink, and some dark-skinned skeletons in order to get their skulls for the eventual fight with the Wither. I got another knowledge of death point and put it into the Shadow Walker perk as we entered day 13. This piss yellow biome I found was pretty cool, but what's even cooler than piss yellow biomes is the fact that there was a nether fortress right outside of it. I killed another ghast over the span of 5 hours and started digging into the fortress. I was pretty excited to find a piece of netherite, even though having only one piece is about as useful and helpful as Aiden Ross is to society. I rearranged my inventory and it was time for the treacherous battle ahead. With all the members of the Red Hot Chili Peppers defeated, I began building a box to hopefully steal all of their lunch money, which in this case is blaze rods. After I finished farming the rods, which I got about 23, it was time to head home and go on an adventure. Only to realize that the structure that I was running to was my house the entire time, and that I'm entirely an idiot. It took me the better half of 3 minutes to finally realize that the reason why I wasn't approaching this object was because it was my house. After realizing that, I found these 2 lovely ladies and tied them up, because they're into that sort of thing, to bring them back to my house to have babies, because they're into that sort of thing, to then have babies with those babies, because they're into that sort of thing. The funny thing is, moving these cows took me about 5 to 7 minutes in total from start to finish, and by the end of this video it was entirely pointless because I found the holy grail of books later on. After I put these 2 beautiful cows into their extremely expansive 10,000 square foot home that will house them and their eventual family of 50, I started working on building up a little farm to fuel the breeding of the cattle. And that went a little bit like this. I took a quick break to see that Wandering Trader had a beyond max level diamond axe for sale, so I went to go craft the axe and grab the emeralds in exchange for this weapon, as it was the best thing I could have up until this point, which I found only fitting to use on the trader himself. And now we're back to playing Stardew Valley, where I created a hoe and fittingly named it Your Mom. Before you let me know how funny I am, don't worry, I got you covered. I am hilarious. Anyways, I plowed Your Mom through all of this dirt, and then opened a portal to another dimension. Entirely unrelated. Anyways, I went through the portal and entered the Twilight Forest, which by some incredible stroke of luck, I was able to find the Naga Temple right away. I made incredibly quick work of him, her, I have no idea, and then moved on to the Twilight Lich. I killed some light-skinned skeletons, and then found that giant stash of books that I was talking about earlier. I collected more books than I could ever use and made it to the top of the Lich's Tower for the most boring boss fight I have ever endured, so I clipped the phases that were boring and included only the highlights. After that, I came back home and started work on my enchanting room and my storage room. So I finished most of that up and then finally decided to let the dog inside. I went back to the nether to collect the fragments to make the last skull that I needed to fight the Wither. With the last skull crafted, I collected the other 2 skulls and began to head to where I was going to fight the Wither. After digging straight down for way too long, I thought I had found the stronghold, but in fact, it was a giant dungeon full of skeletons. Oh my gosh. I guess you could say I had a bone to pick with these skeletons, and I made sure that it was well known. While it was quite the mess, the new axe worked well, and I began digging back towards bedrock in order to fight the Wither. I slapped together the altar to spawn the Wither, and began sorting out my inventory for the climactic battle that was about to commence. I placed the skulls and proceeded to run like a little girl into a corner while I waited for him to finish charging up. After he finished charging up, I proceeded to beat the ever-living piss out of him until he did this. I definitely needed a change of pants after this, as having the Wither escape to the surface would be catastrophic, but he decided he was into getting hit and came back down for more pounding. And with that, the Wither is dead. The reason I said that this series might be shorter than expected is because it's been unexpectedly super easy, because I'm just the best at video games. So if you guys want to see another 10 days, let me know in the comments. But the next video will definitely be another type of video game and potentially in a different style. But that's all for now. See you next time.